All right, happening right now on your screen. President Trump greeting Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in front of Mar-a-Lago. The two are meeting today, hoping to make some progress on moving toward step 2 of the ceasefire plan. The president's talking right now. Let's see if we can listen in.
For the last 3 days.
President Trump, are you going to have a green light for another attack in Iran?
Go ahead.
Mr. President, how quickly do you hope to move to phase 2 of the peace plan for Gaza?
As quickly as we can, but there has to be a disarmament. You know that we have to disarm with Hamas. So one of the things we'll talk about certainly, but there has to be a disarming of Hamas. Otherwise, very quickly. Yeah.
Can you say anything more about the explosion in Venezuela that you mentioned in a radio interview? Did the military do that? Can you share any more details about
Well, it doesn't matter, but there was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the video. So I'm just doing a reaction here to Netanyahu coming to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. Trump's been very busy, you know, greeting and entertaining these world leaders, trying to bring peace and different wars, and just taking on, you know, the responsibility on his back, as the leader of the free world, to try to put out a lot of fires that's out here in the world, a lot of chaos here. You know, they asked him a question as far as, like, you know, an explosion that happened in Venezuela. And he didn't answer the question, but he answered the question at the same time. He said, okay, we've been blowing up the boats, and then now we blew up this facility, or this place where they're loading loading the drugs and stuff like that. And so he didn't answer the question, then he answered the question in his own little smirky way. You know, if Trump had his way, you know, we would be able to go into Venezuela, get the bad actors out, and you know, I feel like it's a lot, you know, it's always a lot more to stuff than what first meets the eye or ears. There's always a lot more to it. And you know, maybe they have oil that we want, you know, who knows? But I feel like it's always a lot more to, you know, certain things. Of course they want to stop the flow of drugs into the country. And even though all these boats is getting blew up, man, trust me, it's boats that are still gonna try to get those drugs over here to the United States, because this is a big market for them. But back to Israel and Iran.
I don't want to comment.
President Trump, yesterday there was an explosion overnight, and the Russians say that Ukraine tried to hit the residence of President Putin. Do you have any information?
No, I don't know about it, actually, and I don't, I just heard about it, actually, but I don't know about it. No.
Did you speak with
That would be too bad. That would not be good.
What was the outcome of your telephone call with President Putin this
I
morning?
had a very good talk this morning. I waited till this morning because it was pretty late by the time we finished, like 2:30 in Russia, 2:30 in the morning, and we had a very good talk. We spoke at 8 o'clock in the morning, our time, and it was a very productive talk. I mean, we have a few very thorny issues, as you can imagine. He knows about thorny issues probably better than anybody in the world, but it's working out. We have a couple of issues that we're going to get resolved, hopefully, and if we get them resolved, you're going to have peace. You're going to have Ukraine. They're losing 26,000 soldiers a month. Can you believe it? A month. 26,000 young, beautiful soldiers, and plus some people in Kiev, and relatively small, but a lot, you know, still people, and it's a lot of people. But 26,000 soldiers were killed. last month. Yes, please.
President Trump, are you going to allow Turkish forces, and do you expect Turkish forces to be stationed in Gaza?
So I have a great relationship with President Erdogan, and we'll be talking about it. And if it's good, I think that's good. And a lot will be having to do with Bibi. We're going to be talking about that. But Turkey's been great, and he's been, excellent as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about you. To me, he's been very good.
Can you guarantee that?
Sure. Yes.
Mr. President, can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu and how important it is for you to see him be pardoned by the Israeli president?
Look, he's a wartime prime minister. He's done a phenomenal job. He's taken Israel through a very dangerous period of trauma. Israel, with other people, might not exist right now, if you want to know the truth. That's a pretty big statement, but it's true. I feel that. You had the wrong prime minister. Israel right now would not exist because they were met with a force the likes of which very few countries could have handled. And we worked together, and we were extremely victorious, to put it mildly. Now I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them, but hopefully that's not happening. I heard Iran wants to make a deal. If they want to make a deal, that's much smarter. They could have made a deal the last time before we went through, a big attack on them, and they decided not to make the deal. They wish they made that deal. So I think, again, they should make a deal. They want to make a deal, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Yeah, please.
Mr. Trump, hi, Nadav Elimelech, 24 News Israel. Would you support the overthrow of the Iranian regime?
Of who?
Iranian regime.
I'm not going to talk about overthrow of a regime. They've got a lot of problems in Iran. They have tremendous inflation. Their economy is bust. Their economy is no good. And I know that people aren't so happy, but don't forget, every time they have a riot or somebody forms a group, little or big, they start shooting people. They kill people. And the people tend to... I've watched this for years. There's tremendous discontent. They form 100,000, 200,000 people. All of a sudden, people start getting shot. And that group disbands pretty quickly. So I've watched it for years. They're vicious, vicious people, yeah.
Mr. President, in viralnews, will you support an attack?
The wrong... Just let her go.
Does the reconstruction of Gaza will begin even before Hamas is disarmed?
I think it's going to begin pretty soon, yeah.
Before Hamas
He's looking forward to it, so am I. Look, what a mess. What a mess it is. And it's been a mess for centuries, really. It's been a mess for a long time. It seems to be born for that, but we're gonna straighten it out.
So Trump is basically saying, they're gonna rebuild Gaza and stuff like that. My thing is, man, it's gonna be rebuilt the way that they see it to be rebuilt, not the way that it was already built, for the people of Gaza. But that's neither here nor there, really, Let me see. So, I also seen this clip here where the Iranian president was saying that Iran's in a war.
Talking about President Trump's foreign policy, and I do want to stick with that topic here as we are now at 9:02 on the East Coast and 6:02 on the West Coast. Take a look at this here as Iran's president saying this weekend that his country is in a full-scale war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe. The remarks by President Masoud Pezeshkian were published on the website of the country's supreme leader, Khamenei. He says, in part, quote, "We are in a full-scale war with the U.S., Israel, and Europe. They don't want our country to remain stable." Now, this was just a portion of this and is a much larger statement that was made. Now, I want to pop this up on your screen as well, a live look over Mar-a-Lago as these remarks come just ahead of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's meeting with President Trump there in Florida tomorrow. Iran's president also quoted as saying this war is worse than his country's deadly war with Iraq that was back in the 1980s. To help break down exactly what this means, I do want to bring in a friend of the show. We do have Javed Ali, Associate Professor of Practice at the University of Michigan's Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy and a former senior U.S. government counterterrorism official.
So, Josh, really interesting set of developments with the statement by the Iranian president. And if the translation is accurate, and if the term or the phrase really is full-scale war, clearly Iran is not mobilized for that, at least not yet, in terms of going on some kind of offensive campaign against its neighbors in the region, or even Israel a little further afield. And certainly Iran cannot touch the United States directly from a quote unquote war perspective. So why make this kind of aggressive and bold comment now? As you mentioned at the top of the segment, it could be a way to send a message for the meeting tomorrow between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. I think they'll just, if anything, shrug it off, because clearly Iran is in a much weaker position than both the U.S. and Israel. But
Yeah, man, I could deep dive into this more. This is just the same as China. Just blowing smoke, man. They just don't have the capabilities. Can they get a few people in certain places to do certain things? Yes, but full-scale war, no. I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out, and just wanted to bring some world news today. And if you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. This is Justin Paul. Peace.